Hello, and welcome to another episode of Page Burners. We're working our way through the Malazan books by both authors Steven Erikson and Ian Esselmont in publication order. We have so far discussed one Esselmont book, and we'll talk spoilers for everything we've read until now, which includes Knight of Knives, the Esselmont book that we've read so far. And, well, not that these ever come up, but the Porcelain and Corbel Brush novels that we've read so far. So today's discussion is going to be chapters 3 and 4 of Bonehunters by Steven Erikson. This is the 6th book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Next week, discussion will be chapters 5 and 6. With me, of course, we have the usual group of friends. Mirka, could you kick us off with introductions? Tell us what you're most excited to talk about. And maybe I'll steal some topics from all of you.
Sounds good. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Mirka. I have read these books before. And today I would like to talk about Apsalar and her relationship with Cotillion. What would you like to talk about, Dan?
Yep. My name is Dan, and what I want to talk about was like everyone's thoughts on the Icariums and Mappo sort of expedition into the what are they called? The floating pyramid islands, whatever they are, and how it, I don't know, how that's like basically sci-fi at this point, and how it fits within the fantasy context of the rest of the book. Anyways, Carl.
I'm Carl. This is my second time reading the whole series. I am most excited. There's a lot of good stuff here. I want to say I'm most excited, perhaps surprisingly, to just talk about the character of Felison Younger. And a big part of why is because I was kind of critical of how Erikson wrote her in House of Chains, and they sort of address it here. But I don't know. I want to talk about her, and I will hand things off to Steve.
I'm Steve from Page Chewing. It's my first time reading the Bonehunters, and I've been thinking a lot because we skipped a week last week. I've been thinking a lot about, I can't put it into words, but the storytelling in this series seems a lot different than other fantasy series. It has a different kind of method of telling the story, and I think part of it is because there's so many characters and because it jumps around to different continents. But I wanted to know what everyone's thoughts were on that, or how would you explain, how would you describe that to someone who's never read it? Because it seems it has a different flow, it has a different way of telling the story than most books do. I just can't put it into words, so I wanted to throw it out there as a topic, and I'll kick it off to Shannon.
Thanks, I'm Shannon. This is also my second time through the series, and I would like to talk about, I think in chapter 3 there was a good scene with the Bonehunters, and I want to talk about how I think it's kind of interesting that for a book called the Bonehunters, we've barely seen them. They've had like 2 scenes so far.
But yeah, I think Steve's topic seems like a good one to start because it's abstract and we don't get into the weeds of any chapters yet. How about that, Steve? I kind of want to pose the question back to you though and ask how you would describe how the storytelling is different.
I've been thinking a lot about this. I think the best way I can describe it is in a lot of books or storytelling in general, there seems to be like a spine that holds everything together. There's like a main line kind of group of characters or character that you follow, that you navigate the story with, that you can kind of latch onto. And there's a main storyline that character is attached to. So it serves as like a spine that holds the whole skeleton together. And I can't really point to one in this series. There's not really one character that defines this series, or one kind of through line that I can point to and describe what Malazan's about to someone. I mean, a lot of other series you can describe what it is in a few sentences, a quick, give someone a general idea, but I can't really think of how to do that with this book other than to say it's there's a lot of characters and it's a little, it jumps around a lot. It's complex. There's lots of things going on. And so can't really. But the best way I can describe it is like it doesn't have like a spine that I can really grasp onto and that I can say this is the main story or main character or group of characters.
I definitely agree, having finished the series, that there is not a main character. I think anyone who would try to name a main character would be struggling. I mean, there would be obvious flaws in any argument about any one claiming so-and-so is the main character. And so in that way, it is particularly different and distinct from not just fantasy series, but really fiction in general, I would say. I think it is meant to evoke history more in that regard, that there isn't like a one hero who's making everything happen and who we're following through everything. I do think there is a spine to the series, but you can't really talk about it until, well, you could speculate about it.
I think Carl was saying something very profound. This internet picked up on it.
It was too profound.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Internet
okay.
cut him off.
I was near my seat and then he like broke up.
Yeah. I guess it's a good question about like who would, if you had to choose who was the most main character in the series. I don't know. I guess you could say the Bridge Burners, probably, as a collective. It's the best
Not anymore.
guess, but
Yeah, they're dead.
oh no, you still have Quick Ben and Callum and all the other guys. Like they're still there.
True.
Hmm.
But are they the main character right now?
Yeah, you can't even really say the Malazans are the main character because we had a whole book in another continent that had nothing to do with them.
The
Sure.
Malazan Empire is the main character.
Yeah, I think the name that you would guess would be different with each book or like sets of books, because I think Whiskey Jack was one of the main characters and he's not around anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
And even for books, I feel like you'd be hard pressed to name individual main characters. Like just in these two chapters, I think we touched base upon 5 or 6 different threads, and they all seem to be equally going somewhere. I think similarly with Dead House Gates. Maybe with Dead House Gates you could argue what's the name of the guy?
Do
It
it?
starts with a C.
Oh.
How can I forget?
Terrible.
Coldane. Thank you. But yeah, I suppose we could like force a main character, but even like every book we follow, and I think this book does it more so intensely than any we've read so far, where we barely spend long stretches with any character. I think Apsalar we spent the most time with in the 2 chapters that we read for today, but pretty much every chapter's been check in with this character, then either come back to them or move on. Like we just sort of progressed on 5 or 6 different threads in one go. So I don't even know that we have main characters per book.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best book you could argue would actually be Gardens of the Moon and Gandalf's Perrin, where it kind of feels like, I mean, he, in that first book, it really sort of, even though it's an ensemble cast, I feel like has kind of main character energy. And then Erikson immediately kind of rips the rug out from under you, and he's not in the second book. And then the third book, he comes back, and he kind of feels like, well, maybe he's kind of main character energy again. He's the master of the deck. And then, but there's a lot going on, and then, you know, the rug gets ripped out from under you again, and lo and behold, we're several books after that, and he's not returned. So, and yeah, obviously I'm having internet difficulties, so if I pop in and out, that is what's going on. But yeah, Steve, you asked a really great question, and I think it's impossible to fully in detail discuss until after you've read the whole series. I will say there is a through line. Some people talk as if there isn't, And I think that's bullshit. Like when I was first going through the series, there were some people who were like, there like really isn't. Like it's worth the journey, but like there's no, like, it's just kind of, every book is its own animal, and that's crap. There definitely is, but it's not traditional, as you have said. And there certainly is no main character. If I would, sorry, just the last thing I'd say, if I would compare it to any series off the top of my head, it would be like Dune, which, if you've read the Dune books, they do not have the same main character throughout all of the books. The kind of through line is thematic, although there are recurring characters.
We were all waiting on the edge of our seats before you got disconnected. What you were saying.
I
Yeah,
can
and I
relate,
have to say
Steve,
that-
to having trouble describing it. Sorry.
no.
Describing how special these books are to someone else. But I wanted to say that once you get, at least for me, once I got used to this style, I found that I was missing it everywhere else. Like, I guess, and most of the things that I read after the Malazan Book of the Fallen were just not complex enough, or, like too simple in a way. It is kind of addictive to have that depth and that complexity and different storylines, different characters. I really wish more books were like that. Not sure
Definitely
if
agree to
anyone else
wishing
feels
more
this
books
way.
were like that.
I think
Yeah.
to answer Steve, I think the without getting into spoilers, I think the only real through line of the whole series is really more to do with themes. Like there's themes that carry on throughout all the books, and I think Steve has a lot to say about certain things, about the nature of humanity and people and how people act, and that's the things that really go through, and you see it with different people groups, different places all over the world. You see people doing the same thing, acting the same way, or maybe somebody choosing to do something different. And so I think that's really the thoroughfare of this series more than anything.
Yeah. I think that the through line is maybe more obvious on the reread too than, I think you're sort of piecing together through line, at least I was, towards the end. But now as we're making our way through the series, like you can sort of see at least one thing that's sort of centrally moving the pieces. But we'll talk about that when we get to the end.
I don't know if this will be helpful or appreciated or not, but on my first read, Steve and Dan, I actually should say that the thing I wanted, in hindsight, the thing I wanted most to talk about was to you two, about how you're reacting to the book, because this is your first time with this book. Like last week or 2 weeks, whenever we talked about the first few chapters, it was a great conversation, but like I really wanted to know how you all were reacting to it, because this was the book, and we're maybe not there yet, where I started to see the shape of the story Erikson was telling. And I really do feel that it is true for, I think, all of the back half of the series, but Bonehunters will, I think, make a lot of things clear about where it's going and what kind of the spine of the series, as you said, Steve, is.
So what do you think, Dan, about this book?
I'm having fun now. I not saying not having fun before. Like, well, it's just I was getting a bit tired when we did the whole jump across the other two books, in a sense, because I wanted to get back to this. So I'm enjoying it a lot. I think it's also thanks to a bunch of like funny mascots that we have in this book, right? Because we have the two spirits, and we also have Great Frog, yeah. So there's, he's done it many times up until now, but it's still funny, and all these characters are still, especially like, Great Frog. I really love him. He's so amazing. So it's good that he came back. I had a feeling he would come back because we didn't see him as much that time. And he seemed like a character that could be enjoyed by a lot of people. So I didn't really think he was gonna just disappear. That's good. But I didn't expect we were gonna have like 2 whole ones. They have a very similar dynamic to some of the the secondary character in the Malazan army, like the random soldiers that talk to each other. They kind of have that vibe.
Yeah. What did you think of what was it, Smiley and the other guy, the fail SETI?
Yeah, I mean they have a similar vibe, right?
The few
Korik.
Rich Brother interactions. Yeah.
Korik.
So I guess we start from the Apsalar sections now then.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess she goes exploring and tries to figure out who wanted Mabra killed. And then she goes to meet the guy who I think Karsa ran into in the 4th book too, right? So just a lot of fun adventuring with Apsalar and Curdle and Telorast. Maybe Mirka, your topic would be apt here.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we can also discuss all the other revelations about Urko and Mabra and all of that information. But what I wanted to talk about was just that I really like when Apsalar and Cotillion are together in a scene. I really like their relationship and how complex it is and how difficult to categorize because you can look at it from different angles. And I know it's not a romantic relationship despite, the gesture that we saw in chapter 3, but although I still kind of like the notion of them becoming an assassin couple of ascendants. But yeah, I guess, there is just so much going on. Like there is guilt, there is a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, maybe. There is, Apsalar's lost childhood and just the fact that she was used, but then Cotillion is obviously kind of regretting it, hopefully, and is trying to kind of be around and help out. And she's also, kind of maybe resentful, but also enjoying being an assassin, and being sent on these missions. And then there is the relationship with Crocus. There's just so much happening there, and I really love to think about all that and kind of interpret the little things. So, yeah, I don't know. How did you guys feel about that kind of romantic gesture that we saw in this section where she like strokes his face or whatever? Did that seem romantic? Did that seem like just a compassionate gesture? How would you interpret it?
It seemed romantic, and I hated it. It just
You don't
is
do that
so
to
out
your
of nowhere to me.
father. Yeah.
I think I'm kind of the opposite of you. I think the worst thing Cotillion's done is what he did to Apsalar, and now he's making her jump through hoops to be free of him. And I'm just like, God, you're an ass. Like, I mean, he does seem to regret it, but at the same time, and then we go all the way to the end. I thought it was really sad, but we get the revelation. The reason she went to see Urko was to have Urko say, "Oh, he'll keep his word. If you do this, he'll leave you alone." And it's just like, yeah, she really wants to be free and wants to believe him that he'll let her go. But then you counter that with that scene, so it's like, does she really want to be free? Because she's caressing his face. That's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a lot of contradictions for sure, but I think that's the point.
You go, Dan.
They are both really confused, right?
I was just wondering, like, why is she not free? Can't she just go and do what she wants? Like, what does Cotillion still have? Like, her father is not there, so, like, what does he have to keep her tied up, I guess? I don't know.
Not her father, but her daddy. I'm sorry. I saw an opportunity. I took it. No, I actually, I mean, I love their relationship and I hate the idea of them being together. It's very gothic and interesting and complex and contradictory, like you've said, Mirka. I mean, there's so much to say. There is, I joked about it, but there is a paternal element to it that is indubitably like part of the dynamic. I mean, her dad literally just died and was like second behind her possession, or maybe first. The most like traumatizing experience of her life. And I just like, I hadn't really fully thought about this, but like, that's clearly impacting how she's handling all of this. Like, she's grieving her dad and her first love. And, you know, I think it would be a mistake to not talk about her while also talking about Cutter, Crocus, right? That like they are directly in parallel, where I read them both as two young people who don't really have a sense of self, who are trying to figure their lives out and who they are, and they're trying to be people they're not. And I mean, I think they both feel that they are not good enough for the other person. Crocus feels like he's not enough of a badass, and Apsalar feels like she is not enough of a human being. And so they've gone down these paths and they are feeling naturally romantic and sexual attraction to the people around them who maybe represent some idea of like very Freudian sanctuary, and, you know, older people, I guess is what I'm getting at, who could be a mentor in some way. I mean, with Crocus, it's, oh my God, what is her name? The drug addicted pregnant lady.
Scalara.
It is Scalara. Okay, I was going to say that, and then I was like, that's not her name. And I love her. She's a great character and complex, and it's actually very ominous when she decides she's going to seduce Crocus. But I think those are like pretty direct parallels between those characters. And so to go back to Apsalar and Cotillion, I mean, the thing that is so rich and interesting to me, going beyond the obvious like gothic Freudian boundary pushing, I mean, because the gesture is definitely like romantic, but it felt very confused too. And I think the part that's most interesting to me is how Cotillion, we know this through possessing her, left a piece of himself inside her. And I think that's a big part of what she's trying to grapple with, is that like she is literally not the girl she was when she was possessed, that there is a piece of this man inside her. And, you know, you can interpret that many, many different ways. But she has to deal with the part of her that was fundamentally altered by the possession.
She's his Horcrux.
Yeah. It is a Horcrux. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like both. Maybe it's not exactly your topic, but something I am a bit struggling when understanding these characters is kind of like especially her and Crocus was like, because they don't seem to have any objective. They're kind of like drifting randomly based on whatever people around them are doing, which maybe also is appropriate for what happened to them and their situation in life. It's just kind of like, it makes me a bit frustrated though, because I'm like, I want them to do something for themselves or for what they want to do, but instead they're just doing what other people are telling them to do, basically.
I would say that's.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I think that's literally the point. Like I mean, they're doing it because they want to do it, but also because they don't feel like people right now. They're not individuals. They are actively like de-individualizing. Apsalar is like, I am the assassin. I am Cotillion's tool. And Crocus literally has changed his name, which I think tells you exactly where he is.
What did you think, Mirka?
Please go on, Mirka.
No, I was just going to say, like, there was definitely some moments where they did what they wanted, kind of. Like when Apsalar went back to her village to find her father and Crocus went with her. And then things happened there that kind of altered that path and brought them somewhere else. So, yeah, I guess I agree with you partially then. That, right now they're definitely being kind of pushed and pulled all directions. What you were asking before about like what makes Apsalars to still serve Cotillion, I think it's Crocus actually. I think she's worried that if she wouldn't do it, Crocus would, because he wants to kind of match her assassin mojo. So like it's kind of a circle, right? Like Kater tries to be like Apsalar. Apsalar doesn't want him to be and takes it on herself. And doesn't want him to be like her at all. And he doesn't understand that. And, like this whole thing. So it's a little bit unfortunate that there is clearly a miscommunication between them, and Apsalar continues to serve Cotillion for that reason.
Excellent point. Because that really was the kind of third pillar of Apsalar actually that I hadn't fully thought about either, even though it's explicit on the page, that it really is sort of a weird, I don't want to say it's like a love triangle per se, but it is a weird like emotional triangle where they are all informed by each other. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that Cutter is trying to be like Cotillion. Like, I think that's like pretty explicit. He's trying to be like Cotillion through Apsalar, but he thinks he's never getting back with Apsalar. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to be that guy. And I don't want to say too much, but I think it's especially interesting given the path to ascendancy and what you learn about young Cotillion. It definitely feels like Cutter is trying to live up to an archetype that, I mean, this is the reason I love Crocus, is I feel like Crocus is deeply down, like not the archetype he keeps trying to fulfill. Like he's just not, he's not that person. And you could say maybe it's just, he's like more complex than an archetype. You could kind of flatten it, I think, in a lot of different ways, the analysis, but he's trying to like fulfill these roles that he is not fundamentally built to be. If anything, he's like maybe fit better in as like the thief we first met him as, which is its own archetypal role, I suppose. But the kind of romantic thief he was trying to be, he really wasn't. Or because the world, anyway. And so it's interesting the way that they all are sort of interplaying with each other emotionally. Because I think, I mean, the part we maybe haven't discussed as much is how much Cotillion is trying to be more of a human again. We're not in his head, or not very much, but he's like clearly, I think, in the way that, Shannon, you said the thing that you feel is like the worst thing he's done is the possession of Apsalar. And I mean, I think for the reader emotionally, that's undoubtedly true. And I think for Cotillion emotionally, that is also undoubtedly true. That is the thing that's hanging over him. And he's trying to deal with that now. And it's the thing that changed him in a way that, his other crimes have not.
Interesting. I think for me, it was that gesture was just like Apsalar at maybe one of her most vulnerable moments that we've seen. Like even more so, I think, than when we catch her just sitting in her room and crying, because I mean, like, the complexity of her feelings towards Cotillion, it feels like she's finding comfort anywhere she can, like, or looking for it, even if this is where she has to get it. So yeah, I mean, I think I felt sorry for her more than anything else, especially because she apologizes immediately after and calls it a mistake. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What makes
I
this
think all of
even
that's true.
worse is if you think about how she has all his memories. Like, she knows
Yep.
every single thing that happened to him in his life. And it's just weird, right? Like, what she has to deal with that somehow, while also maybe, you know, forming her own opinion and like kind of getting to know him as Apsalar. Yeah. Very cool.
Exactly.
Anyways, let's not
That is
spend too much time on this. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that's the thing that's so interesting to me, is that
Yeah.
a part of her is fundamentally him, but also she is fundamentally not him. And there's just, this is why I read fantasy. I mean, that and the dragons. It's like the metaphors and the ways you can like take a kind of thought experiment and make it emotional and psychological in a way that's hard to do, you know, with strictly realist fiction. It's really interesting eating that stuff up. Love it.
I mean, how much are you actually that person when you have all the memories of someone? Like,
Exactly.
like quite a lot, I would think. Maybe you would even be basically the same person. I don't know. I guess some of it might be genetic, right? But
well, exactly. And she also has her own experiences, right? I mean, there are literally all of these factors, and that is what I think makes that tender caress so interesting and powerful. It's exactly what you said, Varsha. It is a moment of like extreme vulnerability and like lowness emotionally, but it is her trying to not just like seek out comfort, but like trying to understand who she is as a person. She does not know who she is, and that's what she's trying to figure out. And she's doing it in the messy, interesting way that good stories are made of.
Nice. Are we ready to move on to Curdle and Telorast? and the weird bridge that they saw? So I guess they can navigate through the Shadow Warren to a certain extent. But I'm trying to remember where we read about this. Was it in this book or the previous one, where the Shadow Warren is sort of interposed with this? There's not always a path from one place to another, but she's apparently at a place where there do exist paths that she can traverse. And they saw a bridge that then disappeared, and then Telorast and Curdle said something about something interesting that Apsalar wanted to follow up on, but then they totally ditched her on that. Just like the memory of it is ditching me right now.
It's the throne, right? The
throne,
they smell
yes.
a throne or sense of throne.
Yeah.
That's right. So again, is this the throne that those guys are going to be defending, or there's just too much talk of thrones and too many individual thrones around?
I think they say it's occupied, so maybe that points to the one that Shadow Throne sits on currently. But I think that's just too simple. It has to be a different one, I think.
Yeah. So this was also the book in which it was unclear whether Shadow Throne was really occupying the Throne of Shadow or not, right? Well, I guess he's not, because that's the one that the Testandi are out defending.
There are multiple thrones of shadow.
But there is the Throne of Shadow.
Yes.
Which the dragons who are currently in prison wanted to occupy.
But I think the question mark is, what does that change? Like I genuinely, like, I don't know, right? Like that I don't, that isn't like a sarcastic or, you know, like, what actually changes if someone occupies the Throne of Shadow? I mean, clearly something changes, but does that suddenly mean that Shadow Throne is fundamentally subservient to who sits on the quote unquote real Shadow Throne? I don't know.
I would say it's less power. It's a more powerful version of the one Shadowthrone is on.
I
would
agree with
assume.
that. Yeah, I mean, I think that much is definitely, it's got to be, right?
Yeah.
But with a Warren that's broken, like what actually changes? I don't know.
Oh.
I definitely assume that the throne, the dynamic duo was talking about was Shadow Throne. But you never know with Malazan. America might be right. It might be something else. Never count Erikson out to just throw in some bullshit in the 9th inning.
Well, and never expect Telorast and Curdle to speak the truth or make sense either.
That's a great point.
So,
yes. Yeah.
Who knows what they're going on about? Because they're clearly, I think, messing with her the way they're talking to each other in front of her, and then acting like they, she can't hear them or something.
Just
I
like
don't know.
Fust.
What?
I love that
Fust.
the opening scene for this chapter is them trying to possess her chamber pot, and the other trying to talk them out of it.
And that later on they possessed the little skeletons.
Oh yeah, that was
of like dinosaurs
Yeah, the
in
dinosaur
Urko's
skeleton.
house.
That has to be the single most adorable thing.
So funny. It's awesome. Dan and Steve, I'm curious what you make of those two.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think I already said part of it is like they're just very fun and hilarious, right? They have a very cool dynamic, and I love it. They always change what they're saying. It's very, I don't know, their humor is very similar to mine in some ways. Sometimes in my life, it feels. It's, I don't know, because it's kind of very absurd, and they say things which are like obviously ridiculous, but with a very straight face. You know what I mean? And when they continue talking to each other and continue that thread of like someone says an absurd thing and the other person responds in a very like, oh, that's reasonable. Let me respond in a reasonable way. But it's obviously like absurd, all the things they're saying to each other, which makes it incredibly funny to me. So I do like all these characters.
It's actually crazy you haven't finished this series, because that's like one of the primary like types of humor you get, especially like from book 4 onward. I think you get like, I mean, traces of that in every book, but like that is like Erikson's style, is the like absurdity treated as if it was like very dry, and like, yeah, I think you'll enjoy the coming books. Anyway, that's it. Steve.
I wonder how much, but I was to say, I wonder how much they're actually going to be important to the plot. That I still don't know. I'm thinking that they are, but I have no idea how. Anyway, Steve.
Yeah, it reminds me, when I think of them, I think of two people from the UK. Like, they're very dry and droll humor. So I always imagine them as being from like, somewhere in the UK. That's also my type of humor too. And this series is a lot funnier than I remember it being the first couple of times I tried to read it. And it also has lots and lots of grief. A lot of grief. And then it has humor. It has this mix, but to follow up on what Dan said, I think some of these characters that are, I don't want to say side characters, but some of the characters we visit with, I often wonder, how do they fit into what role will they play later? Is it just kind of to build the world, or will these characters come into play in a major way later? I think that's what obviously we won't know until we finish it, but I'm trying to judge everyone else's face here as I say this to see if I can get clues what
yes
faces on.
Yes and no. You never know. I mean, the reality is, this is the thing, going back to what you opened us up with, Steve, there are characters who are incredibly important and exist in one book, and there are characters who do reoccur and that maybe you don't expect them to. They seem like minor characters in the way they're introduced, and they end up being crucial into the end game, and everything in between. And that is the unique part of this series. One of the unique parts.
Lots of characters.
My last question about these two is, what do you think they are?
Like, do you mean ghosts or whatever, or what they were before?
Okay, they're ghosts. They're ghosts. Like
Okay.
that's not a question. They are ghosts. But
Okay.
ghosts of what?
Or who?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Are they maybe famous? Maybe they could be. We could have heard of them, because they did mention that a lot of the people chained in the Shadow Realm were quite dangerous, right? So maybe they were quite powerful in their time. That would make sense. Otherwise, why would they?
Who knows?
Well, okay. Well, let me think. But it also mentioned that they were trying to get to the Throne of Shadow. So do we know of any other character that were trying to get to the Throne of Shadow? I wonder.
The
Maybe it's
crippled
probably
god.
mentioned at some point. But we don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
If you had to guess what race they were, what race?
I don't know. White?
God, I fucking knew. As soon as I said it, I was like, don't give me the human bullshit. Don't say skin color. Don't pull that shit on me. I knew it.
I'm too obvious.
Dan, this is why I hate you.
Yeah. Oh, you think they're demons? That would be cool. If they were demons.
Tricksters.
Demons in what way? Because we have learned demons. No, I mean that's a fair thought. But we've seen demons from many realms. Yeah. Many of them have been from the Shadow Realm. So do you think they're natives of the Shadow Realm?
No.
Okay. Demons
I feel like
the
they're
Shadow
humans. Realm. I think they're humans. They feel human. To me.
Don't spoil it, Carl.
I'm not going to say shit. I mean, I'll say a lot of things, but not the answer.
I don't know. I do feel like, though, that most of the silly characters have been either demons or humans up until now. So that's the only why I'm basing on it. Yeah,
it's very strange for this series to the way that demons are used is very different than I would have expected in a series like this. They're very versatile.
Expound on that.
They're not one dimensional. They have character. Better way to say it. They're that's they're not one dimensional. Yeah. They're very they're used in different ways. They're not just this kind of this blunt weapon or this force. That they have personality. They have purpose. They have different roles that they take on. That's why I picked demon.
Like the demon who totally betrayed Charles Singer, right? Am I remembering that right? There was a demon in the 5th book that betrayed Charles, and Grey Frog is really cool. Yeah.
What kind of tricked him, I guess.
But
right?
also that demon had like a job and family, and I think that's really cool, right? I think we talked about it, how probably a different, I don't know if any other authors have explored demons this way, and just giving them a place in their own society, or their own society for that matter.
No, that is an excellent point, Steve. I think this gets to the Erikson love of subverting tropes in like in a playful, humanistic way. Because you're right. Typically when people summon demons, they're the faceless horde. Mm-hmm. But here they have personalities and desires, and they betray the wielder, and they don't like the demon. I'm blanking on the demon's name. The demon in Midnight Tides is like straight up like the most sympathetic character in the entire book. Maybe second to Udanas. Like it's pretty remarkable. In fact, they actually has a lot of similarities with Udanas. Not to go back to Midnight Tides.
So
what else?
The visit with Urko?
I love Urko. I didn't remember Urko. from my first read through, but he's fucking awesome, and I can't believe I didn't really remember him. And that's kind of all the thoughts I had to say. I wish he was in more, and maybe he is, because I forgot he was in this book. So that's the thing. I actually have no idea. He could be in every other book. I don't remember.
So
He's in book 4 though.
what do you think he's putting together? Dinosaur remains? I thought at first Kachain Chamal, but I feel like he'd know he's doing Kachain Chamal. And like this one seems really large, much larger than I think we've been told Kachain Chamal are. So I'm picturing a dinosaur. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Maybe
Definitely
because he's putting
dinosaur.
the skeleton together, or but I guess also the way the lean forward was described as they as these
It's-
two were possessing the minis.
Okay, I could be wrong. I think it's a short tail.
Mm.
Could change them all.
Are they that big? I thought it was pretty big, the skeleton, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think Karsa fought a short tail in this
Yes.
chapter, right?
For
So
sure.
I guess how big was that thing? Couldn't have been that big.
It was like at least as big as he is.
I think slightly bigger, but not. I think it's described somewhere in that section that it's
Yeah.
maybe taller than him, but not by that much.
Maybe like a head taller or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
I also have the that Urko is building something bigger than that.
he's built a
So-
whole tower
Uh-huh.
to make room for the like because he's building it high, but like that's how even if it was leaning forward, it'd be pretty big, right?
Maybe it's a matron or something. I
Here-
assume those are
here-
bigger?
Ooh.
Could be.
Here is my
yeah.
pitch. Is I just remember that it is definitely reptilian, but Erikson classically likes to introduce a thing right before he actually introduces the thing. And I want to say this is literally the same chapter where Karsa fights a short tail.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised just knowing how he structures chapters if that is the skeleton of a short tail.
Skeleton,
That
bone
does check
hunters.
out. That-
He's the bone hunter.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that. That's so true.
And is Urko Steven Erikson saying he just wants to be left alone and do his archaeology?
Good point. Oh wait. I had another joke, but I can't remember the name of the character. What's the other character? The pregnant woman from the other storyline.
Solara.
Yes, Lara. Oh, she's the bone hunter.
Uh,
Hey, I'm done.
I think I got that joke, baby.
You don't have to. You don't have to get it.
Okay.
Are
That's
both
pretty
her
good.
and
I'm not gonna
Apsalar.
lie.
Oh god. Okay. Well, we'll see. Well, wait. Who are the bone hunters actually? Because someone was saying like we've barely seen them.
Who
But
knows?
that's
So
already
who are they?
wasn't that already established in previous books?
Yeah, back in
Right.
book
Is
4.
it?
I mean, I don't think
That's when
been given the
Grub gave
name
him the
yet.
bone.
But they were not named.
Oh,
they were not named. Yeah.
Oh, they're called bone. I thought. I didn't think they
Oh,
were
I thought
called
they got the
bone
name
hunters.
too. Wasn't just okay. So they got the bone
Okay.
as their symbol.
They haven't been
Were they
named.
named? Oh,
I think it's one of those foreshadowing. In hindsight, it's very obvious, but they're not actually. I could be wrong, but I don't think they've been given the name yet. Pretty sure they don't get the name until after the thing.
I distinctly
Mhm.
remember the scene in which they are named, but I'm like 90% certain that doesn't come up. The name doesn't come up before then. But I could be
Okay,
wrong.
yeah, because I'm not. They don't talk to each other like referring with that name, as far as I know.
No, it's not official.
Oh, okay.
It's not. It's not.
No.
No. Pretty sure
Okay, I
that
see.
is a. Yeah. The bone hunters don't exist. That's what I'll say. They don't exist. Good luck
Well, the
finding them.
14th Army was falling apart, and then Tavor brought them all together with the was it Knucklebone or something that Grub gave
Yeah.
her,
No name.
Yeah.
and then
I
they
just
and then
didn't
they
make
started
the
all pinning it
connection,
to-
I guess.
We'll see.
Mhm.
We'll see. We'll
That's
see
the
what
thing.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think about that fight between Karsa and the short tail? Was it the most boring thing for you as well? Because it definitely was for
Yes.
me.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, okay, I'm just like that with action scenes where people are like moving around a lot. But also, I kind of hate that it started with him falling in a pit of sewage and then he stayed like that throughout. And I mean, of course, it sort of makes sense that he went to fight, but I could not think past the fact that he's covered in sewage. But
That was my favorite part. Because that was like the only thing that made the fight interesting. I was like, that part, I was like, okay, well, I read this part, it's interesting, I get a reaction out of it. But I wasn't getting any reaction from like, okay, they're punching each other. Sure.
yeah,
I
but
guess.
also, I guess so I wasn't sure if I was interpreting correctly that that's a short change. What the heck
Yeah.
is it doing here? I guess that part is interesting. What is it doing here in the middle of nowhere and apparently eating people up? And
Is it the same one that was? It's the same one that was chained at the bottom of the well in like 3 books ago. Or am I wrong?
I think no.
That was a different place.
Yeah.
I think.
I think
What
that
are-
one was released too. Yeah.
What are the
And that was a different
coincidences then?
demon, no? It was not
Yeah.
I
changed,
guess.
no?
No, I
I
don't
just
think
assumed
it
it was because I was like, how many random monsters from ages past are chained in these Malazan keeps?
A
a
lot.
lot.
Well, in Seven
I guess
Cities,
twice
too.
Many.
Yeah,
Probably
it's
more.
like it's like that meme that like, oh, if I had a penny, I'd have like 20 cents, which is not a lot, but it's still weird that it happened a couple of times, right?
No, it more than a couple times. Like it'll happen
Okay.
a lot. Like that's one of that's also like the weird duo who says absurd things in a very dry way. Like that's like one of Erikson's things. Is shit just happens.
Okay. I thought it was, and I just thought I misremembered. That's what I thought. Okay.
Maybe sometimes, who can say?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kalam was in the cliffside fortress of Britis, and yeah, he was fighting that thing that is like is it a demon? I don't know. It took over that monster.
Was there another
Uh,
Toblakai? No. Was it first rate Toblakai maybe?
maybe it was but it possessed bodies because he kills it, but then it like takes over something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was different.
Okay. I see. Okay, so I don't know what it's doing here.
That place was also occupied by Malazans, right? Was this? I mean, I think I had that thought too briefly, so I think I see where you're coming from. I think that tower was also occupied by Malazans, and there was a demon at the bottom of it. This was also, I think. Wait, was this occupied by Malazans or the?
It
Rebel-
was,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the Ashok regiment, Captain Kindly, and all them. So these guys weren't main enough characters, so they just got eaten or whatever.
I guess.
That's a good guess.
I mean, okay. I think the scene serves as an exciting bit of action for people who really like action scenes in books. But I do feel like in terms of like the greater story, it's really to show that the short tails are individually very dangerous because we know how powerful like Karsa is. And so a short tail could change them all. Goes toe to toe with Karsa.
Mhm.
And Karsa just killed
Yeah,
2 whatever the fuck the Hounds of Darkness are, right? And decapitated them. So I think that tells you what to expect of them.
Yeah.
And how they're, which we learned, to be clear, we've lost Steve as we recapped this, but the short tails rebelled against all the other Kachin Shamal.
Yeah.
We don't fully know all the reasons. We don't know all the details, but we know there was a big short tail rebellion.
Yeah, that was actually part of the prologue of Memories of Ice down in Morn. That was what led to that was the rebellion of the Short Tails. They kind of had mentioned it. I'd forgotten about it. I had to look it up. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Right. Wow. Goes
They
all
had
the way
talked
back
about
to
they
Memories of
didn't
Ice.
mention Short Tails, but they mentioned a group of them rose up, and there was a rebellion.
And we're getting a lot of Cotillion stuff right now, right? We get this one, we get the stuff that Icarium and Mappo are discovering. There were some sky keeps in the Imperial Warren. Urko and his archaeology stuff. So yeah, I think there is one. Yeah, it's probably going to be important, right?
Yeah. I wonder why they're all showing up now after like thousands of years of disappearing, basically. Because it's been thousands of years, right? It's been a long time.
Hundreds of thousands of years.
Hundreds of thousands, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly there's a bunch of them kind of showing up. I wonder why.
Wonder why.
Who wanted to talk about
Well,
Icarium and Mappo? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Shannon?
well, I was going to say, I think that's one thing. Like in the book, people often talk about like, oh, these races are from long ago, but like I feel like it's almost for granted that like some of them are still around. It's just most people don't know it. You know, because they talk about the Jaghut being extinct, but we know they're not. You know, they're scattered. Just a couple of them, but they're scattered throughout.
There's a lot, actually. It's not a lot.
And I think the Cotillion are probably somewhat the same. Maybe they're a little more active now, but like I feel like they probably were around. Just people didn't see them and thought of them as long ago.
Maybe to some degree, but I actually think that there is an inciting incident here.
Okay.
We could talk about. I don't want to go into too much, although most of it actually relates to books we've already read. But anyway, Icarium and Mappo. Yeah, who was that? Who wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, it was my topic. I don't know. I just enjoyed the whole sections of them exploring basically the spaceship, right? Because that's basically what it is. And they have the anti-gravity center, and I don't know. It's all very, how do I say? It feels very kind of like 2000s sort of sci-fi, where there's some military U.S. pilots or whatever going into these alien spaceships and exploring them. I don't know. It gave me that vibe. But I'm very curious to see what they find inside. Like it seems, I don't know. I was really captivated by that section. I don't know what everyone's thoughts are on it, and that like, does it feel like it fits or not? Because it's not really. It's like very sci-fi and not fantasy, right?
Yeah, I feel like I always love it when a fantasy book does that, like throw something that feels very sci-fi in. And I mean, I think we're clearly exploring the remains of a spaceship, which I didn't realize when I was reading before, but we've been told in a previous book that the Cotillion could manipulate gravity, like that's their magic. Yep. And so it makes sense that they built these spaceships. And I guess, so I'm not clear on this, so I don't know, but do we have a sense on whether they were native to this planet or were they aliens, like who made their way here and settled on this planet? Because this spaceship seems like it's pointing to the latter, but then there's that whole Cotillion settlement near Mon, right, which was just like pretty long-lived. But anyway, the first time I read this section, I was like really blown away by all of that. This time I got a little bored because I knew about it already. But the first time, I think it was pretty mind-blowing to encounter a spaceship, like, and be told, and I think like the realization that this is what Moonspawn is, right? It's probably a spaceship, and again, like that was pretty mind-blowing for me.
Yeah, I think skykeeps are spaceships of a sort. Okay, so there's a lot to address here. The sci-fi of it all, I think if you're going to pull it off in a fantasy series, I think you have to build up to it. I think it has to feel like it may still be shocking, but it needs to feel like it in some way makes sense. And I do think that this reveal makes sense. I mean, we've gotten all the bullshit about Skykeeps. We've gotten the bullshit about Kachane, Chamal, magic, and I mean, just the fact that we have dinosaurs in the series, like sapient dinosaurs, is kind of something that points in that direction. There's a lot that opens the door to the possibility of something that resembles sci-fi, even if in a strange, fantastical way.
Yeah. I guess maybe we could have gotten a little bit more technically if we had seen some examples of Kachinchimale technology or magic. We did see it in sex because we did see Moonspawn, but we never saw the insides or the mechanisms. Maybe if we had seen like a glimpse of that when maybe the bridge burners went inside or something. I know someone went inside at some point. Maybe, no, it crashed into the building. But yeah, if we had seen a glimpse of it to suggest it, but not too much, maybe it would have been too much. I don't know.
I think this works for me also because of who we see it through with Icarium, because we've seen Icarium in the past does technology. He builds things, he makes things. There was that one bridge that was in one of the books that was actually a mechanism that he built. And so I think that, I do have an answer for you, Varsha. I looked it up real quick. Apparently in Memories of Ice, we found out that the Kachane Chamal are, I assume native to the world. They were there before everybody else. And they were so powerful, even the Elder Gods stayed away until they self-destructed their civilization, which kind of does, now thinking about them as being technologically advanced, that's kind of interesting. It's like, with the death of this technology, magic arose.
Interesting. So I guess they built those spaceships to colonize other worlds
Wonder.
No, I
think they floated all over the Malazan world. I don't know if they went into space, but they
they
colonized the whole world, I think.
They're not spaceships as you're thinking of spaceships. I don't think. They're sky ships.
They're called Skykeeps.
Yeah, I would think
sky.
of it like, if you're thinking of it in terms of like JRPG sky ships more than spaceships. Like, they're meant to fly around the planet, not to fly around space.
Yeah. They're
Makes
mobile
sense.
castles is really what they are.
Yes. Yeah, they're mobile castles is true. We've been in a Skykeep, haven't we? I can't remember.
It's when Paran went in and blessed the bridge burners. That's the only one I remember. Yeah.
In a more recent book,
After
like someone stumbled around and didn't know what they were inside. Like, maybe it was last book. I'm blanking. Maybe I'm wrong. It's
Memories of Ice.
Midnight Tide?
No. It's more recent than that. House of Chains or Midnight Tides. I swear some character stumbled into a Skykeep, didn't realize that's what they were in, and you only really realize it in hindsight. It's like one of those reread things, but I also could be misremembering and like projecting this chapter onto the past. I don't know. Memory is an uncanny friend.
Was it Odinos, maybe?
It maybe was. It was definitely one of the characters. If I'm thinking of it right, it's like one of the characters who did some weird traveling, almost like dreamlike. I don't know. The question to get back to the original point of like if it's earned or not is certainly up to the reader. I can only say that I remember reading this for the first time and being like, "That's fucking awesome," and actually makes sense. As opposed to that's fucking awesome and makes no sense at all.
Yeah. It's just because if this was a sci-fi book, it probably would have been teased earlier, I feel, and made you think about it. But the way it is in this book, like, I never thought about it. Like, I was wondering what the magic of the Kachinchimala was, but I just assumed it was some sort of magic. It never made me think that there might have been something more to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this makes sense. Yeah.
No,
I think that's probably what you were supposed to think. Like, I mean, up until this point, I mean, we knew we've seen like one matron, but she was insane. We've seen the sword hands undead ones, but we haven't really seen many like living could change them all.
Yeah.
What are they really like? And no, it turns out they don't really use magic. They just have technology. They're highly advanced dinosaurs.
I
It
just
does make
remembered
sense,
that.
though. Go ahead.
You go.
I just very quickly want to say that it does make sense with the way that the Tristandi were able to pilot the keep. Because if it was magic, they wouldn't have been able to interact with it or to use it. But if it's technology, everyone can use technology. So
That's an
makes
interesting
sense to
point.
me.
Yeah.
But if it's a technology so advanced and so lost to the world, I would almost argue they wouldn't be able to use it.
Unless
But
someone
on the other
showed
hand,
it.
Just
But
drive it around.
Well,
Tristandi
also-
apparently know how to fly these things.
There's a big gray
Well,
area in history.
yeah.
Big
Well,
gray
they're
area.
hundreds of thousands of years old. That's a lot of time to
History
figure
is
something out.
shadowy.
No, but the Tristandi were there when the Sky Keeps were working because they fought with the Tristandi against.
Mhm.
Right?
They did.
So there's not like a gap in between. It kind of like continues in a sense.
Yeah, and I don't think we know when Animander captured Moonspawn or got Moonspawn. I don't think. Maybe they told us, but
Maybe it found it, yeah. But
In
he could have just
hindsight,
found it. He could have captured it.
knowing the just all the shit I do about the series, this feels like some D&D bullshit. Like this feels like they were playing the game, and at some point, Animander Rake, aka Steven Erikson, won a giant flying sky keep. Like that's what feels right to me. I could be wrong, but that feels like, Animander Rake needs a really cool home base. What about a flying castle?
or maybe they just watched Independence Day or something, and you're like, oh, it's cool. I'm gonna put it in my.
Wouldn't blame them. Wouldn't blame them at all.
So I think Korab and Leomin have a brief appearance in chapter 3 too. I will retroactively fit in my topic. I want to talk about Yagadan, or however you say that name. I tried to say it the way Steven Erikson does, but I'm pretty sure I butchered it. But
How does he pronounce it? I've never heard him. I just think it's Yagatin or something.
He says something like Yagatan or Yagatan. I don't know, but
Okay.
I don't. He says the Y like with. I used to call it Igatan before, but I kind of like mine more. But so Leomin explains to Korab why he wants to make a stand at Yagatan, and also talks about what the heck is going on with Tassim Altor. So I love those little callbacks to Knight of Knives. And also, I think I was thinking about this. I didn't know this before, and I didn't remember it from this book. But the big deal about Tassim Altor's last stand was, and the last rebellion that they were fighting, apparently, it came to a head at Yagatan. So Leomin seems to be wanting to make some kind of statement there, maybe put the fear of God in the Malazans because they had lost here previously. And so they want to, so that's why he wants to make a stand. And then he came on and took over leadership of the city. And now, and I love that little exchange he and, what's his name, Korab, have about Tassim Altor, where he inadvertently guesses who Tassim Altor now is. Which I think, Shannon, was it you on the forum you were asking how come Leomin knows all these things? Which, that's an interesting question.
How did Leomin know this?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a random...
I don't think most of the Malazans know too, right? They all think he's dead. So where is Leomin getting his information from? So I thought that was an interesting section overall, and I've been thinking about it since the beginning of this book. given what we read in Night of Knives. So it was nice that it was like sort of directly addressed and discussed with some humor thrown in.
That's a good question. I don't know. I will say this to Team Korab. Love that guy.
Yeah. Are we okay? So
it took me so long, but I love him now. He is one of my favorite characters.
He's my main. He is the main character of the series, as far as I'm concerned. Is he actually is? I don't want to say blessed by Opone. Is Opone messing with him? Like, I mean, how? Like, there was the entire thing throughout House of Chains where he just kept pulling off these amazing things that made no sense, and then now even here he just randomly guesses that Dasamultor is December without even knowing he did it. Like there's something going on with him. Like did Perrin's little lucky sword somehow end up with him or something? Or
did he guess
maybe
it, or
Croker's
did Leoman
coin? Well, Leoman, like the paragraph says something like Leoman says that Dasamultor in a way that he wants Korab to ask him more about it, and instead Korab says, not even if Decembre's biting at our heels or something, or we're running like he's behind us. And then like Leoman's like, how did you just guess? Like, how did you say that name now? Like, because that's and then he tells him. It's just so weird. Like how Korab just constantly has the most uncanny luck.
He's one of my favorite characters too. I love him. He's great. I love him. His whole thing when he was eating the grubs. It was so fun to read, and so
it's hysterical.
I just love the description. The way it was written, everything. It was not just. I was kind of astounded by like, why is he wasting all this good writing for this? Because I don't know. Like I remember some description. It was like describing like the glistening like pearls coming out of the like the eggs coming out of the grub he was eating, and I was like, this is super well written, but like he's described like for this
because the punchline's at the end where it's like, oh, it was that.
I think the part of the beauty of Korab is that he has all of these like really beautiful philosophical poetic insights, and at the same time he's a huge fucking idiot.
Yeah,
like he's simultaneously very intelligent but also like truly so stupid, and there's something about I don't know why he didn't stand out to me on the first read, but I love this man. He's so funny.
What's the name of that Greek philosopher that like doesn't give a shit? I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. It kind of reminds me a bit of him.
Not sure.
I can Google what you just
naked. I can't remember, but he does. Yeah, he's great. And he has. I think he's got like here was one of my favorite quotes that I've read from the whole series. Like I want to read it now. I spent like 2 minutes before trying to find it. And when he says 1,000 merchants will be there, describing the city, and workers out on the road leading to the coast, setting new stones, and potters and barrel makers and wagons and caravans. And they say, the air shall be golden with dust and dusted with gold. Like that line, I was like, that's great. I love it. I love it so much. But it's for some random thing. And then he's, Leoman just makes fun of himself, all the poet. I like it's a legit great line. I don't know.
It is.
I just loved it. I don't know.
Also, he has the coolest name in the entire series.
He has a very cool name. And Amanda Rake is hard to beat.
Name. I don't know.
Cora Millen Thenualis. Yeah, he does have a cool name.
I'll say also. Yeah. Well, just gonna brief sidebar. Telorast, I think, is an awesome fantasy name, and hysterical that it's lined up with Curdle, which is just chef's kiss.
I said the exact same thing before we started recording, before you joined, Carl.
Amazing. I mean, it's just facts. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest name, and then Curdle. Iconic. Anyway, Mirka.
No, I was just going to continue with that whole storyline, how Leoman is now in Igatan awaiting Malazans. I actually didn't realize this before, I don't think so, but there is a lot of hints at what's going to happen. I'm not going to say what that is, but maybe just for the rereaders, kind of start paying attention to, if you haven't noticed so far, it surprised me. Anyways, yeah, so he wants to take his final stand against Malazans there. And I don't know, how does that feel, Dan?
No, I was like very surprised that we went back to Leoman and Korab because I thought basically that storyline was done. Because like the rebellion is over, I thought that whole thing was finished, and maybe he was gonna come up later, like a little bit, but I didn't think it was actually gonna be a continuing storyline. So I actually have no idea where this is going because like the rebellion is done, like that whole thing is done. But I assume something else is gonna happen that's gonna make this important.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it done until if you know there is still someone who is opposing Malazans? I mean,
the
that's
goddess
the whole...
is
he just needs followers.
Yeah,
and I think he has a decently, like, somewhat of a force. I mean, he had men that, you know, I mean, it makes sense that they crushed the rebellion there in Urko. Leoman ran with a whole bunch of his force, and then now Tavor's following him.
Well, it makes sense in like a very like, yeah, this is kind of how the world works. Like there is,
you don't want to just go and start over again somewhere.
Exactly. But you don't see that in, frankly, not any, but most stories, let alone fantasy stories, where it's like, oh yeah, you've defeated the enemy force, and also they're not defeated. There are still people left over who are not just going to roll over and be like, I'm sorry, please forgive me.
Yeah.
You know, like there's more you have to deal with. It's messy.
Yeah.
War
usually
is
all that stuff happens off screen because it's like boring and it's just like a bunch of, right?
No, exactly. Usually, that's exactly. It's like if it's acknowledged at all, it's like we dealt with it off screen. It doesn't matter. Star Wars, right? Like it's whatever, you know, after the Empire, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, actually, you know, it's more complicated potentially, right? And there's a lot to deal with.
But I assume something else is gonna come up. Like this is not just this storyline. Something else is gonna come out to make it more central and connect with all the other storylines. It's not just gonna be them doing a final stand. I'm like, sure.
Who knows?
No, I know that. I know for sure.
So I have a random question. I saw that map that Shannon posted on the forum that is like what the 7 cities or the Braraku, what is it looking like after the sea has been added. And I just wonder, are they like stuck to a single island? How do they move around if there is like sea everywhere?
Had Erikson drawn that when he wrote this? I don't know.
Because those like little isolated land masses were
I hadn't looked over that side.
Something I need to pay attention to, like, are they going
Erikson.
to be ships?
Yes, that's what I was told.
Let me have a look at it again.
Like, is Karsa right now on one island and the Malazan army on the other island? Like, are they all separated, you think, or
how big of an area is this really, though, as far as everything? Because I see Gdanistan, but I don't see Begotten.
Yeah, I was looking for that too.
In which spread is it? Sorry?
Maybe it's just like that area is
discussion
just
there.
Raraku, and that the rest of the continent is, you know, not underwater. So it's just
I think this is relatively small.
Okay, so no, I haven't looked at it, but I can speak just a little bit to this. Raraku is one part of a subcontinent, which the subcontinent itself is one part of a larger continent, right? So you think of like the subcontinent of India, and you think within that subcontinent there is a desert that is major like the Sahara Desert. And so maybe that's what's going on there. I haven't looked at the map, but that would be my thought.
Oh, yeah. Well, I am looking at the map. Yeah. So Rurarku, Egotten is a long way away from Urarku.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of mountains and plains in between there. Kadanispan and because I think the sea is really just where the desert was, which is, if you look at like any map, it's not really that big.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense.
So no, they're west of that sea.
I think the thing that's confusing about it is that when you read, especially like Deadhouse Gates, it almost seems like the desert is like all of what we're going through, but it's not. It's like a very specific area that is marched through, that is like the core of the marching in the book. The Rurarku Desert is like a mythical territory that, like, that's kind of the point, right? As you think of the bridge burners, is like they came out of that desert changed. It's not like it's all of Seven Cities. It's that specific area where it's like, this forges you into a new person walking through this desert, and now it's a sea.
But it's not a landlocked sea, right? It's kind of connected to whatever, the ocean, or is it
I have
in
no
the
idea.
middle of it? Okay.
I'm not sure. This map doesn't really. It cuts off before we get far enough. I don't know.
That not even the slightest clue.
I think it's just an inland sea, but that's just a guess. Because it is kind of close to. Yeah, it's very close to this. Arlington Sea.
Yeah, it's kind of smaller, Urko. Yeah, not very big.
Or the Ma'adil Sea.
So what else do we got in these chapters? What?
So after the Korra part, we do switch to the 14th Malazan army.
14th, okay.
Which is your topic, Shan.
So yeah, I was just really excited to see these guys. Fiddler's still trying to go by strings. Bent and Roach are still there. I was super excited to see them. The two dogs. We meet some new characters like Flash Wit and Uru Hella. We get mention of Nefarious Bread.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fun. Nil and Nether got a scene. We got to see Bolt as a ghost, the Wiccan from way back from Deadhouse Gates.
Okay, I'm sorry.
One of the
I have to interject just to say that fucking Bottle is the best. I loved him on my first time through the series, and we haven't talked about him very much. I fucking love Bottle. Bottle's the fucking best. He's like Quickbin if Quickbin was just some guy. Like he is awesome. He's naive. He has some weird relationship with his grandmother that we only know vaguely. He knows magic no one else knows, which is always awesome. And it's like the weird elder like holds Matt. Like when Quickbin talks to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, like the Warrens and the Holds and like the shit that happened before that. Like yeah, of course, like love that." And he's also just like he's just a guy. Like he's unlike Quickbin, who we're constantly told is like right, exactly. Like Quickbin is like constantly like, yeah, I'm actually more than I seem. Like there's weird stuff going on here. Bottle is like we keep learning new things about him, but also is just like a person. Like he's like I don't know how old he is, like 25. Yeah, with the way ages work in the series, he could be like 20 years old, and he's like, he kicks ass, but also he's just like a young random person, and I think that's awesome.
He has that dry humor that we discussed earlier.
Bottom. Yeah.
Oh, so I hadn't thought about this while I was reading it. So you mentioned the Holds. Yeah, we do see him like doing a lot with animals, and I was thinking about that as like natural magic. I wonder if that's like beast hold stuff.
That is a good question.
I was thinking about like I thought Holds were, how do I say, like shit compared to Warrens, because that's what they said in the previous book. But they're actually like useful, because they seem quite useful in this one for now.
They're not shit at all compared to Warrens. No, they're just older. It's just a different way of like categorizing magic. So I actually think I forget where we get this. It's maybe in this book, maybe in these chapters where they're like Warrens Holds. It's like it's just how you structure it.
Yeah, we're imposing order on this system in order to use it.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that may have been this book, or if not,
I actually
literally
think it was these chapters where they
these
mention that,
chapters. Okay.
where it's like, what's the deal with it? It's just how you impose order on chaos.
I think Dan's understanding is understandable because in the previous book, when Iron Bars and whatever the mage's name who was with Iron Bars was, they kind of say something like that, like, "Oh, you guys use holds here. Oh my god, that's just so backwards." So I think I understand why you think that, Dan, but I don't think that mage and Iron Bars, they fully understood the full potential of holds and what they do and how they work.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I thought they were
that'd
just an
be like-
upgraded version of the holds, the warrants.
That would be like me seeing somebody driving like a classic muscle car and being like, "Oh my god, you don't have anything in there. Like, how can you drive that thing? Because it's so old." But it's it's a car. It worked. It's cool in its own right.
That's
I see.
Yeah, I mean
I like that.
those are all great points. I think directly, like, the Warrens v Holds is like directly about the complexity of technology and civilization, right? Like, if you're talking about a metaphor, it's like with the way that civilization exponentially got more complicated, that's like the same difference between the Holds versus the Warrens, where it's like the Warrens were still like arguing, like, how did these all, like, what's the interplay here, right? Where it's like the Holds, things are a little more, like, a little simpler. You know, they maybe seem a little dumber, but they're still dealing with fundamentally the same forces, which can still fundamentally do the same things and are fundamentally just as destructive or creative, as it were.
I guess. I thought it was more like, bow and arrows versus a gun,
Right.
Like they're both tools that they roughly do the same thing, but one is better at doing the actual thing than the other one. But I don't know. It was just
maybe
impression.
that could be said as well. Like, I do think that the Warrens might be more destructive, because they are somehow more concentrated through Curdle. I guess maybe that's not a bad analogy, actually.
I mean, I don't know if they're necessarily, like, maybe they are more destructive. I don't know, but they're. I think you can get more specific with what you want from them in a way you can't from the Holds, where it seems much more elemental. But also, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad Mirka brought up that bit in Midnight Tides, because I'd forgotten about that. But that's clearly they're looked on as like a backwater magic, but it is. I mean, there's a lot of crazy.
Well, we saw the Seta Korokan use it against Han and Mossag, and it was pretty powerful. And those were was Holt's power, right? That was not Warren's.
Literally, the example I would give is the Taista Andi. Like, we've known them the entire time. We think they're awesome and they kick a bunch of ass. And, like, whatever the Malazans say they're using the Elder Warren of Darkness.
Yeah. But that's not.
But I wouldn't say that's a Holt.
Yeah. Right? I thought we had a whole discussion at some point, like a while ago, where I said, "Oh, that's the Elder Warren as a Holt," and someone corrected me. No, not really.
See, I'm still overlapping though somewhat. I still feel like the Holds are like putting walls around relatively the Elder Warrens versus, like, because, like, Mianis is not just Shadow done better. Mianis is like a specific part of Shadow. Oh my god, we're still having these conversations. Fucking Erikson.
It will never end.
It will never end.
Have it every single
I mean, I think
time.
technically Mianis is a mixture of light and shadow to make illusions.
Yeah.
I think that the Warrens of Light, Shadow, and Darkness are kind of separate because they are. Kurald Galain is a Warren, but it used to be a realm, right? Coral Emerald is a realm, and then the magic as well. I don't know. I think these three are maybe like
we've
a little.
we've seen the realm of like the beast hold.
Yeah.
We've been there.
I also don't like. I'm not going to give any details, but like Carcanus makes it like
well, you
Oh, it's
can't.
gone.
like that messy's the light, shadow, darkness of it all.
Yeah. Well, he did say that he was not going to give details, and he's not. That's good. Somewhat,
You
but
succeeded in giving no details, Carl.
no. But yeah, I'm going to continue what he was saying because I'm definitely
Yeah,
sure he was
here,
going
come
to
back.
say this. None of it makes any sense. It's all like loosey goosey.
Yeah.
The rules change all the time. Yeah. How does Cruel and the Blood fit with the hold? I don't know. It just is, I guess.
Yeah, I think I mean I generally think Erikson has some of the softest soft magic because it's whatever he wants it to be. You know, and there is an architecture to it all, but I don't think it actually all makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried to make sense out of it, but
it doesn't have to. It is what it is.
you just take it for what it is. I think honestly, I think the most profound thing is what was said in these chapters, which is we take something chaotic, we force an order on it so we can use it.
Wait, am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
even
that
if
makes sense.
even if this order may contradict something that
Jesus
happened over
Christ.
here.
Carl, do you
Back?
want to finish your thought?
My thing is saying trying to reconnect. Can you hear me?
No, I don't think he
My-
wants to finish his thought. No.
Hello? Can you hear me?
No.
I think he very much
it's
wants to. I
it's
don't know if he
breaking up
can.
a lot.
Okay, I'm gonna try to talk
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens. I think Erikson and
I guess
Esselman are
to go back to
sabotaging this. I was just literally gonna say that Carcanus makes the question of light, shadow, and dark and the way it. Oh my God, can you hear me? I'm gonna fucking go crazy. This is insane.
That's a good point.
We
I
know you're
didn't
talking
think
about
about it.
Carcanus. That's about it. Now you sound like
He's
I
trying to
don't know what you
speak to
sound
us
like.
from another dimension.
Yeah.
It's like talking to the dead. It's like, oh, you get fragments of it, and you can interpret it however you want, like a Ouija board or something.
I'm gonna say it sounds like we just put him in reverse or something.
Oh yeah, it's a secret message.
Well, I need him back because I want to talk about Crocus and them, and I want him to defend Scalara for me, who keeps talking about wanting to sell her baby into like a harem.
That's not a good look, I have to say.
It's not a good look, but he talks about how much he loves her, so I want him to tell.
No.
Why is this a good thing?
I think he wanted to talk about Felicin more than Solara, but
Yeah.
maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, he did.
Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back. You're back now.
Oh,
You're
Jesus
back.
Christ. Okay.
We've been a lot
All
of
right,
jokes about you.
Before
Okay,
Erikson and Esselmont assassinate me and I get the red light on my forehead and, just get sniped, all I was saying was literally, I think Carcanus makes the question of light, shadow, and darkness, at least as they are presented as Warren/hold/whatever, much more complex. I think you can maybe say there are elder powers that exist, but I don't know that. I don't know how you could do. Like, I think it's endlessly contestable how you should divide these things beyond just like the broadest sense of light and shadow and dark and chaos and order and fire and ice and whatever exist. Did that go through?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of it. Perfect.
One more question I have. How does Bottle's grandmother know holds? If she's, is she from, what is it called? Leatherass, maybe? Where they use holds still?
That's it's an interesting point.
I think
That is a great
I
question.
got your answer. She's from Malaz Island, which we know has all kinds of magic people to defend from the Storm Riders, as we were told in Night of Nights. So, because we see some really powerful mages down there. So maybe she was one of those mages that just kind of...
Okay.
Could be.
Bouncing off that point, because I actually think that's a really interesting, strong point to make, is you think oftentimes, especially in like elder times, there were particular waypoints between civilizations. Like Venice famously became this for a long time, where they were much more cosmopolitan, and so you would see the clash of like cultures, what is now Istanbul, right? Constantinople was like another one where it's like these different civilizations with very different cultures would come together and all kind of live under the same roof because of practical reasons. And so maybe Malaz Island, it's unclear exactly the history of all this, going like back hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of years, but maybe Malaz Island was that sort of thing where it's like all of these different civilizations came together, and so all of their magic sort of blended, and so you got all of these weird mages who did different types of magic. That's literally just speculation. I have no idea if there's anything to back that out. But
I like that. I actually don't remember if we learned more about Bottle's grandma. I hope we do.
I love his grandma. Obsessed with this guy, just like raised by his grandma who taught him like the baddest ass magic. Like that's so cool. It's so fun. It's just so Erikson.
Also, I thought it was weird how Fiddler immediately assumed that Bottle maybe has access to more warrants than Quick Ben. I don't think we really saw an evidence of that.
Yeah,
But I
I
guess
thought that was a weird line. I agree.
yeah, right. But
I mean,
yeah,
we've
let's
seen him do a
see
lot of magic.
if he's right or not.
We'll see. Was Spindle's shirt, was it like his mom or his grandma?
Grandma.
That was his
Oh,
mom.
Spindle.
No, that was-
Spindle? No, Spindle is
Spindle.
mom.
Oh, mom.
Mom,
Okay.
mom, his mom's hair.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
Spindle's wearing his mom's hair shirt.
Hmm.
Yep. Love that for him also.
Oh, Malazan.
So messed up.
Oh, Malazan.
So what are
That's a real thing too. I don't know if you guys, Malazan is the first thing like I was introduced to this with, but then I like started reading more history, and like Christians used to wear hair shirts as like because it like would keep, it was unpleasant was the point. It was like a very like Catholic punishment. It was like we're gonna endure. Yeah, anyway, Dan gets me. He wears hair shirts all the time.
No, I don't. But I know what you're talking. If there used to be, I don't know if it's the same thing, but there's this silicium or something. It's like a rough something of the shape of a heart that you put on your chest that's supposed to rub your chest as you walk around and do things in your day and cause you pain as a Catholic form of, pain as an offering to God and stuff like that. So, yeah. It's a very...
I didn't know about that. That's cool. There you go.
I don't remember the actual name, but it's not pleasant. I imagine it's like I have a pillow made of horse hairs, and it's very rough. And if you don't have the whole cover, it's very unpleasant. So I can, I think it's probably very similar to something like that he's wearing, and it does not sound pleasant at all.
The moral of the story is, if you think Erikson is weird for adding something to the story, probably came from history.
Some weird shit going on.
There is some weird shit going on. Read historical fiction. You'll find out all sorts of weird shit.
So what are Kalam and Quick Ben up to?
It's a very good question.
They saw something, right, on their way to...
And they were sent away by Adjunct, which nobody really understands at this point.
Yeah.
What? These are great questions to ask Dan. What do you make of the Malazan moves here as like a larger culture and military, and like Adjunct to Vor, what she is doing?
I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do here. And I don't know how this relates to Lacine also, because that also seems very confusing, the relationship between all these fists and Lacine. And it kind of seems like she doesn't trust anyone, at least according to what the soldiers say, but maybe they're wrong. Maybe there is a plan to all of this, and we're not privy to it. I don't know, but it does seem very not well planned out, or very like they do something and they're like, oh shit, now we need to, it's getting too powerful, need to do this, and now course correct to that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Have you heard us in the last? I feel like I've talked about Lucine a lot recently, which I suspect is because of Knight of Knives, maybe. Did you at all? Because you weren't around for a lot of the discussions we had. Did you listen to our conversations there at all? I'm just curious if you were familiar with our thoughts.
No.
I say our thoughts because there was a lot of ranting about how much Lucine sucks, and so I was just curious.
I don't know. I think you just say it because you don't like women or something. But I think she's cool.
You caught me. This was it.
I don't know. I don't think she's that bad compared to a lot of other characters we've seen. I mean, she's scheming, but I don't know. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of scheming.
I agree with that.
Her problem is she's
incompetent
incompetent.
is the word.
That's the problem.
Thank you, Mirka. She's running an empire and she doesn't really know what she's doing.
Well, I don't know. I just don't know if this is just the impression of the soldiers have of her because they're biased, because they like to present her, so they're biased to think she's not doing a good job, or if it's actually the truth. Like, I still not 100% sure.
Listen, after reading a shitload of the books, I still don't know. All I know is that the more I learn about her, the more I feel she is incompetent. But yet, there is still the part of me that's like, is it just is it just the way people talk about her? Like, is this just the soldiers treat her as if she sucks, so I think she sucks? I don't know.
Well, let's
But
wait
also-
until later in this book where we will have a good chance to discuss
Sure.
her and her decisions
True.
and behaviors. So
That bodes well.
So I, when you were gone, Carl, I'd wanted to bring up Cutter or Crocus and Solara and everybody, and I wanted you to defend Solara to me because she keeps talking about wanting to sell her baby into a harem, and I don't think that's a very good thing. I mean, I'm okay with giving up a baby if you feel like you're not I can't be a good mother, give your baby. That's, one of my best friends is an adoption lawyer. It's a great thing. But I got to draw the line at harem.
I like that you put me on the spot for that.
Well, you said you liked earlier.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Listen, okay, I'll be real. There's a lot of blank spots in my memories of certain characters like Scalara, excuse me. So I don't know if I remember everything that happens in her storyline. What I do remember is that I found her very interesting. And so I am intrigued by her developments. I mean, okay, here's what I'll say. Ignoring any prior intuition, everything I was given to feel about her before this point is I pity her, and I also think she sucks.
Yes.
Like, how we're introduced to her in House of Chains is like, her life is terrible. It has been absolutely horrible. And she has not been given good choices, not been given much to work with. But also, it's not like she came out of that like a particularly morally righteous character. And then now that we have her with some amount of freedom, it doesn't seem like she's the most morally righteous. I mean, it doesn't help, right, that she is an addict, and I think regardless of your background with addiction, it's like when people are putting a substance before the human beings around them, it can be really hard to like remotely treat that as anything okay, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know that you ever should necessarily, but I don't think that she is a good character morally. I actually don't remember where her story goes. So I literally in that part of it, it's a void. Or it's shadow, I should say.
Well,
I
don't think we're supposed to think she's morally good. I mean, because like you pointed out earlier, we end off with her deciding to basically seduce Croker, and it's
no, to that
is that a
point,
good thing?
Yeah, I think you're actively
That's
supposed
kind of
to
ominous to me.
not like. No, exactly. No,
Mhm.
I maybe I think I said that at the towards the start of the episode when I was talking about how much I love my
earlier. So, yeah,
boy.
I agree with that.
That it is
And I,
ominous. The way that ends, where
and I-
she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fucking manipulate this little boy, and he's not gonna
Mhm.
know what hit him," you know. And I'm obviously exaggerating a little bit, but like that's basically what goes on in her brain.
Yeah.
It's not good. So
Yeah.
I think she is an antagonistic character, but one you're meant to be like, okay, in the wider scope of the series, I should say, I think that oftentimes we are asked to extend compassion to people who are not doing things we think are good. And there are times where those people are actually, as at least we are presented in the story, irredeemable, or at least past the point of us like we should not give them any sort of credit. I don't know that Scalara is at that point yet. I think that she has lived a really shitty life, and what comes in the future may or may not be okay, but that she is not beyond saving. Even when when I say saving, I don't mean someone coming in to save her. I mean her saving her own soul, metaphorically.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, at this point, I think Erikson's doing a good job. Like I do have compassion for her. Like I think some of her thoughts towards her child is hyperbole. I don't know if she necessarily means it. But like, it's, and there's things I don't understand. Like, she's upset because she gets these feelings of bliss from this pregnancy. And I've never been pregnant. I hope to never be pregnant. That'd be really weird. So I don't understand, exactly how that works with hormones and stuff. But it's like, okay, so she's resentful of that, of just this baby having some kind of maybe control over her, which I can understand that, because I'm like, okay, well, that she relates that to Bidithel, who had a lot of power over her. So I can absolutely have compassion for her. I would say this is more successful than maybe like Deadhouse Gates with Fellis and Elder. Like I definitely care more about Scalara, even if I don't like her. Like there's nothing so far that makes me actually like her.
I'm glad you brought her up, because she is one of those characters that I think it's tough, you know? I mean, she is one of those characters that to me is like the most interesting things to discuss and to process emotionally. I mean, I think a lot of like, I love Apsalar and Crocus, and I think there's a lot of gray area and complex bullshit going on with them. But I also feel like they're fundamentally sympathetic characters. While there are characters like Scalara, who I think, and Felisin we mentioned, and I'm fucking oh my god, my brain just completely shut down. Giant guy who we have followed now. Karsa, thank you. Jesus fucking Christ. I've gone off on him. I've like written essays verbally about him. Karsa, who I think like you can't so neatly categorize, you know? And I think actually that in many ways is what sets Malazan apart from a lot of fantasy stories. To go back to what Steve was asking about. So I think that's one of those things is the willingness to go into the places that are shadow, you know, neither light nor dark.
I don't know. But I felt when I was reading more willing to kind of forgive Felsin personally. Maybe because she's younger, so I'm kind of like, kind of expected, and you're not expected to be responsible, I guess. But maybe for Slara, she's also been through bad things for a lot longer, which probably scars you a lot more. Yeah, it just feels bad, but at least Felsin, like most of her issues were directed towards people. How do I say? Like she was fighting with Haboric, and she was fighting with what's the name? The B guy. He's called B something, right? The bodyguard.
Bowden.
Bowden, yeah. And like those guys, they didn't care about her. Like in a sense, even if she acts badly towards them, it doesn't really matter too much. Like here, like if she acts bad, like I don't know, if she's giving drugs to Felsin the Younger, it's a bit different because they're like weaker people than her. You know what I mean? Like
So-
her bad thing can affect people in a different way. I can't explain it very well.
I feel for everything you're saying. I also disagree with like everything you said.
Okay.
So that like in just in terms of that, especially on a reread, I feel that both Bowden and Haboric feel deeply for Felsin. And that is the fundamental and the tragedy, I should say. It is the fundamental tragedy of their trio is that none of them realize how much they care about each other. And I think Bowden, you maybe don't really realize it until the end. But like he cares about Felsin. And he maybe you could say takes advantage of Felsin in that extreme moment where they end up sleeping together. But also they're like going through fucking hell. Like he has also been enslaved, you know? And Haboric, I think, at every step of the way tries to save Felsin in the only way he knows how to, which is as this poor, agnostic, fucked up priest, right? As a man, like it's who he is. And so and Felsin certainly loves both of them in her own fucked up way. Scalara, however, the thing I agree, or maybe it's like going off of like branching off of what you were saying is I think Scalara is intentionally like Felsin. Like, especially on a reread, I feel that is an intentional parallel Erikson is making, where it's like, what if she didn't become the goddess and she continued as the whore? What becomes of that woman now that she's free, right? There is no more. She cannot just be, and I'm using this term obviously as like in an archetypal sense, like she cannot be the whore, right? Like, what is she going to make of herself? And I will say also,
but I feel like because she's in a position of responsibility. No?
I was just going to say, it's like if Baker fans will understand.
Okay. Yeah. I guess, I don't know, but to me it feels because she's in a position of responsibility towards Felsin the Younger, she's more, like, she is responsible for her actions in a way that Felsin wasn't because she was not responsible for, you know what I mean? Like, she's the adult, I guess, in the relationship. So I put more blame in her behavior than on the child in that dynamic, I guess.
I think it's worth mentioning Scalara is like 19 years old. Like, she's like really young. She may not be 19, but we definitely get her age at some point, and she's like really young.
I bet she's like 25 or something.
That's what I'm saying, is like she's not that's the reason I say that. I actually don't remember her exact age, but we do get her age, and it's not like 35. Like she is very young, but has been aged by being, as far as I know, she's been a prostitute essentially, or a slave, like a sex slave, her entire life.
Okay.
But no, I think what you're saying is fair also, because she is not the older person in the dynamic. I mean, I think you're feeling what is like a very like. I think if I was in that dynamic, I'd also. I mean, I personally don't feel like a lot of like empathy or sympathy for Scalara. I'm like, you have to step the fuck up. Like you've got teenagers around you, you know. And Felsin the Younger is like, what, 12? Like, take care of these children. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's not neat. Anyway, that's all I was saying.
What were you going to say about Felsin the Younger, Carl?
Oh my God, that was my thing, wasn't it? Holy shit. Yes. It was just that I thought that in House of Change, she talked like an adult, and she is like 12 years old or younger. And in this book, they actually bring that up. Felsin the Younger, I don't know if someone mentioned this to Erikson or if this was something already on his mind, but she actively talks about how she feels, Felsin the Younger feels like she is de-aging. like that stood out to me. I was like, oh my God, like she's like that's an actual part of her characterization. I don't know that fully compensates, because I don't know that the girl we're presented in House of Change makes sense to me. However, it did make a difference to me that was at least addressed, and that there is some aspect of her where it's like, because now she is acting like her age. Like I'm reading her now and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's Felison the Younger. Like that's, and maybe that was part of my reread, is I'm like, yeah, this is a child, and this is actually a well-written, traumatized child, where I'm like, I totally see her. I love her. I feel like she has been through hell, and I understand the complexities of her psychology. And then I like going back to House of Chains. This is just speculation. I was like, she's suddenly talking like someone who's twice her age. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone has thoughts about that.
Could it be that, that influence of Biridel is now gone, and she's suddenly allowed to be a child and act like a child, and I think, just having to defend herself back in Varaku, and kind of like just horrible things being done to her caused that seemingly older age on her. But now that she's kind of free of those things, I guess that would be an explanation why she feels also like she's aging backwards, like she's becoming the child, and like she's finding that childhood that she lost. Maybe that's how
Psychologically, I really like that
understand.
explanation. Yeah, no, I really like that explanation. Metaphorically, I think that's also interesting. To my understanding of people is that she, in that moment, like, I don't know that she, like, the only way it makes any sense in my brain, and this is just my brain, is that Felison the Elder, a part of her spirit, actually was a part of Felison the Younger, and then it no longer is, which I think there's some implication where maybe that happened, but I don't know, when I rereading House of Chains, I don't know that I ever thought like Felison the Younger was actively pretending to be an adult, and even if she was, that's the way a child would pretend to be an adult. I feel like it's like she felt to me like an adult that happened to be in a child's body, as opposed to a child pretending to be an adult, which I feel like is a very different thing. And that only makes sense to me if Felison the Elder is like a part of her, like her soul, her magic, in the same way like Cotillion's soul is in Apsalar. If Felison the Elder's soul is in Felison the Younger, which is crazy saying, like, because Felison was like 16 or 17, right? But like still, like even that would make a big difference, right? Like Felison the Elder, the role she stepped into, I could believe, like I could imagine a 16-year-old like pretending to be like that. I could not imagine, however young Felison the Younger was, pretending to be like that.
I assumed it was like somehow Shaik's magic, like the whirlwind goddess. Like it must be in some way that was affecting her, right?
That would make a lot of sense to me. Just like in a base logic level, like that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'd actually forgot about that. You're right. Yeah, like those debates she used to have with Haboric and stuff, where it was like, this isn't a child talking.
It's weird. The way she talks is weird, but it really is.
He did fix her in this book. She definitely reads a lot younger.
Yeah.
Nice. Anything else that we haven't talked about yet?
I think we covered a lot of ground.
Quotes? I don't think I have quotes this time.
I already said mine.
What was it? Oh, the golden.
It was like a paragraph.
Yeah. Hair was golden with dust and dusted with gold.
That was a good one. I'm glad you highlighted that. That was a really good one. Yeah.
I have a nice petty quote putting down Lysine. Urko says this. Apsalar says he's now calls himself Cotillion, and so Urko says, "I knew that. I'm not surprised he's the patron of assassins. He was the most feared killer in the Empire, more than Surly, who was just treacherous, or Topper, who was just cruel. I suppose those two still think they won, fools. Who now strides amongst the gods?" So, which we saw when we did see the cruelty too in Night of Knives. We saw them just torturing that Falad for no reason, just to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
So
if
I trust Urko.
Yeah.
The scene sucks.
Fair enough. I just don't know if Cotillion and Shadowthrone actually won. It seems like they just swapped, their mundane politics with god politics, but really they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a valid point. Yeah, I think I mean,
that's kind of how Night of Knives ended. Was did they really win? Did they get what they really wanted? Or is the throne captured them?
It says that maybe Urko is living. Maybe he won because he's actually doing something that he seems to be enjoying, without nobody bothering him, and without people trying to kill each other and fighting and almost like that seems like a win to me.
So true.
Just putting together his dinosaur bones.
She had to fake a drowning. And
what else? Any other last thoughts before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we'll be back next week then with chapters 5 and 6 before we get to chapter 7.
Uh-oh.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.